Today I'm going to give a brief walkthrough about the ESG platform which I developed. You remember a couple of days back I posted a LinkedIn article on what is that ESG platform all about, some theoretical discussion. But today I'm going to give you a brief demo of the platform of what this ESG platform is all about. If you look into this application, this is what you see, the landing page, springboard your ESG execution with ability to get into the system with you can do double materiality, decarbonization, delivery, everything you can do. The platform for integrated sustainability has ESG strategy, CSRD, carbon emissions, then initiative tracking, operating model transformation, everything. And some of the things which are there is all static pages, nothing it's not commercial available now. It's just pivoting right now. And you can see here, his name is Vasanta named after my mother, but whatever may be the case. But let me look at this one. So I will, before I start giving you the demo of the application, let me ask you a simple question. When you think about your sustainability North Star, say for example 2030 or 2050 commitments, who in your organizations owns them? Not a tracker, actually owns them, knows what they are accountable for, has committed target, and knows whether they are on track or not. In most organizations, the answer is almost nobody below CSO's office. The commitment exists at board level. It may be discussed publicly in the annual reports, but the mechanism that converts a net zero 2040 or 2045 commitments into something that a procurement manager in Singapore or a factory director in Germany or an R&D in the UK or act on a day-to-day basis, that mechanism does not exist in most organizations. This is the gap that this application capability is trying to address. What you think, what you know, what you see is not a reporting platform. It is not a dashboard. It is an operating system, a governed architecture that takes sustainability commitments and converts it into who wants what they have agreed to deliver, how it is measured, and what are the financial consequences of not delivering. We are going to build from the scratch in the next 1 hour. So let me go into this one, let me sign in the application, and let me log in with my user ID and password. The moment I log into the system, you can see here that the enterprise command center with all different modules which gets highlighted. You can see them here. You have a workspace which you can create based on the scenario or based on the business entity you are working with. You can have a tenant and a global organization like that structure. You can create for a global organization and you can cascade them to tenants, or you can do whatever you want. That is also possible. So once you create your once workspace is available, you can have different modules are available like project management, collaboration, analytics and reporting, ESG platform, enterprise operating system, super brain, administration, and settings. Let me tell you what this application, what this does. The the project management application is more about managing your projects, simple project management tools, similar to any commercial project management tool you come across. It has a simple ability to capture their projects, then walk through your Kanban board or those kind of thing. If you want to see this one, you can clearly see this is the project, for example. You can have this kind of market solution with clarity, with boards, with timelines, with types, those kind of things. You can have dashboards, boards, methodologies, calendar, those kind of things. It's a simple project management tool. Then you have collaboration, where you have a channels, documents, video calls, and teams you can be done. And those are some of the things which are available. And the ESG platform is more about the broad ESG things which you usually see in many organizations. Those are the things which are available in any conventional tool. If you can come across You can have this kind of thing. So let me walk through the different capabilities of platform. You can have overview where you set up your application. First time you run through that application, everything is listed here. Then you have set up an organization where you set up your organizational entities, the scoping and everything. Then comes your measurement and then comes your regulatory landscape where you can do your compliance analysis, regulatory readiness checks, the regulatory changes assessment, those kind of things you can do. Some of the assessment you can do at the regulatory landscape. Strategy, you create a strategy for your operational entities with the material topics you can carry out. Data collection is more about how you collect the data from different ways like manual, automated, integrated with other applications. Those are all things and your task management, those kind of things is part of the thing. Your complete lifecycle carbon assessment in terms of your ERP stewardship, PCF calculation, supplier PCF dashboard, scope 3 data, back exchange, those kind of things. And also you have CBAM reconciliation, back records and everything is part of LCA. Then comes your supplier portal for the collection of your supplier carbon footprint calculation, supplier engagement portal, those kind of things. And measurement and performance is where you do your calculation runs, carbon pricing, carbon reporting, analytics, scope 3, scenario engines, all this futuristic carbon allocation, your pricing allocation, those kind of things comes into picture. And then that is measurement and performance. Compliance and assurance is more about your readiness to comply with different regulatory and non-regulatory guidelines like e-commerce. You are also going for e-commerce certification, or you are going for some other organization certification. You can do those kind of assessment in terms of completion things. That comes your assessment of disclosures and reports in terms of IXBRs, board backs, everything you can do. That comes your analytics, you can carry out. Then foundations and settings in terms of understanding of extended EPR connectors, EFR connectors, factory library, those kind of things which are across the modules. You can use those foundations are available here. And then finally CBA for your cross-border mechanism. You can see those capabilities listed here. And I'm also UK financial reporting capabilities also incorporated. So overall, the ESG platform is a broad, exhaustive capability. I'm not going to discuss this one today. You are going to discuss this at later stage some other time. What I'm trying to walk through right now is enterprise operating model. The enterprise operating model is nothing but the strategic framework which we just discussed. How you set up your North Star, your ambition for the ESG goal, and understand where that North Star or ambition cascades in your organization. Usually it has a foundation. You have North Star vision. You have different programs. You have onboarding. Then you can design your studio. Then you have a roadmap builder, water simulator, then maturity dashboard, insights. Those are many capabilities which you can do basing on the intensity and appetite for your organization. You can do a lot more things. But right now in today's, right now in the session, let me do you think the program is something which is a top-line container which holds the strategic context like ambition type and ESG dimension, everything flows from here. So let me get into this program. This is nothing but the main top-level container, owns the strategic context and the ambition type and the ESG dimension. Everything flows from here. And for each ESG things, you have the pillars. These pillars are strategic themes that translate materiality assessment into areas of focus. For example, each SDG mapping has some other pillars associated with it. For example, if you want to see a pillar, for example, North Star, if you want to see SDG matrix, you can see these pillars. These 8 pillars, you can know what is these pillars and everything. Outcomes, what success matrices you are trying to achieve, and OKRs are nothing but your objectives and key results that cascade outcomes into actual annual commitments. Capabilities are nothing but the organization capabilities needed for deliver. Each has a maturity level. Those kind of things you can carry out. Then work areas are something which you can create based on actual tasks, projects, initiatives. These are the things with third-party applications like Jira or even Azure DevOps which are going to integrate. So let me create a program. What is a program to begin with? Let me get back to programs and say program. In this application, the program is the root node of the operating model. It is the organizational entity that holds the sustainability ambition and owns the strategy hierarchy. And it produces the North Star. Every pillar outcomes, OKR, capability, and work item belongs to programs. Multi-business unit organization typically have one corporate program, one major division, and that is linked through your program ID. So the first thing we do is we create a program. In this program, we think this as, for example, your organization sustainability mandate made format. For example, the name is less, you can say, for example, you want to give something like sustainability. Let me give you the sustainability 2030 polymers division. For example, we are working with the polymer division, and this is our 2030 sustainability goal for the polymers division. That comes a discussion like saying that polymers sustainability target, for example, and we are getting into North Star OKR like that. We can go into sustainability transformation. And we want to start with the pillars or something. We can start with empty pillars. You can have your start date, for example, give the start date to base date, for example. And when you want to end this date, for example, maybe we want to have this one till this running at the end of the November, for example. And we create the program. Once we create this operating model, this one, that is what we do. So it's a blank canvas but by end of this one, you can see it's created. So what you see is a simple ambition. For example, if you want to create an ambition level, for example, this is the first and foremost before you set up anything. The ambition tier is not just a label. It is a configuration switch that determines which modules are as unlocked, which KPIs are served, how many OKRs are permitted, whether catchball, X factories are available, whether the value model runs simple return of investment or full NPV or carbon adjusted NPV. So all these things comes into picture. For example, if you are clicking on foundation, you can clearly see that the risk and compliance is the primary objective of any foundational ambition. Here, the OKRs are only two OKRs max is possible, and you have no catchball, no matrix, LCA is disabled. And here, the main intention is to meet the regulatory guidelines, not doing something beyond that one. It is the starting point for many organizations to do the foundational stuff so that they can align to the organizational's legal requirements of complying to different regulations. So the second stuff is something which is called the performance. Performance is where you have more about reputation and efficiency as your primary target, where you want to enhance your brand reputation, or where you want to have supplier sustainability, or you want to do benchmarking, or you want to do stakeholder engagement. Those all things comes into picture in case of performance. It has 8 OKRs. You don't have a catchball. LCA is there. That is a hotspots mode. Elsewhere, procurement, you have scorecard. Sensing, you have benchmarking only. ESG alignment, you have multi-framework like GRI, SASP, TCF-free, and those kind of things. You have full NPV, governance efficiency, KPI. All this comes into picture when you have performance as your target. And finally, when you are into a appetite of leadership ability, the main target is more about returns and transformation. That is where you want to have growth, transformation as your focus. You have full life cycle assessment into consideration. You have carbon adjusted NPVs and carbon pricing that might be running across your organization. It differs. So Basing on your strategic ambition, your organizational goals of this platform changes that gets reflected. First, say, for example, let's stay with the LCM. You want to do, for example, you're where the modules visibility is North Star, Procure IQ is nothing but your full engagement portal, your design studio, your sensing studio, your value, your governance, your LCA cycle, your ESG alignment, everything comes into picture once we choose leadership as a target. The recommended KPIs for the leadership is net zero pathway alignment, your ESG rating composites, carbon adjusted PV, circular economy, stakeholder trust, and climate value at risk. So these all things comes into picture when you choose your leadership as a differential unit. Now you have the scope, whether it's a corporate, business unit, functional, site, you can decide those kind of things. And actually you can put those kind of things. And you can do the trial rational saying that we have appetite for leadership. Maybe appetite is wrong, but let me check with the guidance. Appetite, not appetite. Appetite is the leadership purpose. So let me save this ambition. Once ambition is saved, you can clearly see the time, history, and everything you can see here. Leadership we have created, it has been created by me. You can have those things. So anybody changes the ambition types, you can have this one. So let me frame this one. Now, since I demo you this one, the most important decision we make is in the setup is the ambition. This is not a badge or a target. It is a configurable state that changes what the platform does for you. So as you watch it carefully, that when you change these parameters, the sidebar modules as getting changed. So everything gets changed when I click into different leadership foundation and those kind of things. Okay. So this is the first thing which I try to demonstrate you when it comes to thing. You can, when it is done, you can clearly see our leadership is stored, our module visibility is accepted, our recommended KPIs are there, our corporate goal, our deadlines, and our history, change history has been chosen. So this is the first and foremost we have for this one. Now, let's say, for example, next we want to see Sensing Studio. I would like to demo later. Then comes our materiality studio. For example, materiality assessment. So this, say for example, if you want to create your ambition for this materiality assessment, you can start your assessment. So for example, your materiality studio, you want to assess your materiality. You want to assess your legal entity. For example, you want to choose polymers. Okay. Create new legal entity. For example, Acme, Cambridge. Okay. Name is polymers. Jurisdiction is Europe. Some currency and turnover. Headcount. If you give determine scope, it tells you the deadline and everything. It gives you those kind of details. When you want to add some kind of things, you can have shift, medium, those kind of things comes into picture with the detailed consolidated or group level. You can have group level as our scope. Then you can have these kind of things possible. If you get into the next steps, you can clearly see the stakeholders capability which you want to add. For example, if you want to add a new stakeholder, let me add stakeholder Madhavi, for example, and the stakeholder influence is highly influential and interest is severely interested, majorly interested. So you want to save that one and your stakeholders are set. Like that, you can create multiple stakeholders who are relevant to your legal entity. Once you do that one, you get into the materiality TSRS materiality topics. It has the topics of interest. This topics actually has a different dimensions like full disclosure, or it can have climate related things like climate. That is where your GHG scope 1, 2, energy intensity, okay, energy intensity, climate change, pollution. These all comes into picture in this one, under this climate change. Then comes your biodiversity. Also, you can see here biodiversity. For example, you can have biodiversity in terms of resource. Those kind of things is also possible under biodiversity. Then you have labor. Then you have diversity. Then you have ethics. There are multiple pillars which dimensions gets into the reporting purposes. So in this KPI library, the the platforms fundamentally different from other platforms if you see. It asks you what's your KPI from scratch. The platform has a canonical KPI library, a curated set of GRI tagged or ESRS mapped or a tile-based KPIs that automatically suggested basing on your ambition tile. You're not starting from scratch. You are starting from best practice, and your job is to select, refine, and add to it, not to invent it. Let me show you the leadership looks like. You can create this one. For example, you may want to see about climate change. These all are mandatory because you're supposed to act on these things because these are all chosen. For example, if you want to choose your air pollution, soil pollution, and for example, if you want to choose water consumption, or for example, you want to see workers' condition. Say, for example, you also want to have communication. Then you have business impact. You may want to see business impact. You can import them. So once you import them, you can have these things for your things. You can also have custom topics. And if you scroll down, you can see your materiality. You can next step. If you get into the next step, you immediately see your materiality dashboard saying that where your materiality stands for. For example, let me check the air pollution. It is impacting us in a negative way. The scale is maximum, scope is minimum, intensity is okay. The likelihood of happening it is very high, for example, and financial maturity is somewhat is there, and financial likelihood is also there, for example, and it is going to impact on our assets. If you say that one, and if you save this one, you look at that one. It automatically gets you there, saying that this is where your North Star or your materiality point comes into picture. You can understand how important are your materiality points to different segments. This is what you can see. So once you create your North Star, it gets into different locations where it is placed. That happens automatically. So now since we completed air pollution, let me quickly complete soil pollution as well. So you can see here now I completed everything. You can check the review button, and you can also see our things that comes into picture. It seems one or two are top of one another, but this is how the things are. is there. You can see here at the same location we have three more things are there. That's why it is looking like this. So once this is done, you go to the step. Then you can have your strategy established. You can submit cascading conversation. Many strategies you can do. Those kind of things capture the picture. So this is the materiality studio. Once you have your materiality studio, maybe you want to have your materiality assessment with your internal and external stakeholders. For example, you can do maturity assessment in terms of where your organization stands compared to your peers in the market. You can do that kind of detailed maturity model assessment. Your maturity model span more about ESG metrics, disclosures, LCA, your supply industry, and your governance. These all comes into picture, and you do your maturity assessment, your maturity assessment. I'm not getting into opening this maturity because that has 160 curated questions. It will take a lot of time to complete that assessment. Then comes your stakeholder survey. For example, if you want to do your stakeholder assessment, you want to do, you can choose your stakeholder survey. You can add them. You can do anything. You can work on that one. So this is what it is going to do. For example, you may want to add new campaign. Say for example, scope 3 related applicability. For example, I'm writing something, then North Star for scope 3. Your course value is start going to close by end of this month, and you can choose create your campaign. Once you create your campaign, you choose which one you want to choose. For example, right now we are going to use for air pollution per se, for example, and the pollution category is A2, for example, let's add. Then your stakeholders, you may choose, for example, materiality, and you may want to choose to moderate. You can choose between different and simple. Let me choose simple. Let me add it. Then we will not, sorry, GDPR, we need to comply. So let me come here and GDPR comply and survey instructions respond at the earliest. No, personally, corrected. Okay, save settings. And now let's go to get into your tokens. You want now you let's launch it and you generate per se for example 2 people. You generate a token. We copy the URL. You choose for scope 3 calculation, your materiality data, your CSO, for example, and comments, and you have read the comments, and you can submit it, and you can come here. You can clearly see what is completed, and you can see the analytics. If you want to see, you can see what materiality is completed, responded, impact is stored, like that. And if you want to import that information, you can choose this one and say import. It will automatically import it. For example, if you want to see it, you want to close, you want to import and approve and import, go to stakeholders, Metrology Studio, and the topics you can have your scoring. You can see your chart distribution. So this is how your maturity and impact of your sustainability targets you can bring into the application. There's so much other things we can do. It's just a maturity to be demonstrated. You can get into your purpose canvas, catchbar, Hotstar, ESG alignment, Design Studio, those many things which you can do. Certainly, it's not a complete platform demonstration. But what I would like to tell you is that this application, which has been demonstrated, this is this is what is the sustainability targets. Outcomes are parts of North Star. This is where ambition becomes measurable commitment. We need to notice three things. First, create an outcome, create a baseline, the starting point. Without a baseline, there is no trajectory. Second, set the target, the destination. I set a goal, the deadline. These three fields are important for your baseline target and shows where you are beyond or whether you are delayed or prospect of things. So I would like to say I can demonstrate a lot more, but I don't want to take more time. It's already half an hour. And thanks for your time. Talk to you soon some other time.